Hi, this is Christian Boyce. I'm going to show you how to do some good things with iPhoto, namely how to rescue a bad picture. This is the first of 3 that I'm going to show you how to do. So come back a little later and we'll see if I've done the other 2. Okay, so for today we're going to rescue a picture that's too dark. And it's always a drag when you take a picture and everything's right except when you go to look at it, it just didn't work. And this is a great example. Here's a picture of my nephew. Zoom in here. Now I know it's my nephew because I can sort of make out some features, but it's just too dark. It's a nice day. This is the Bay Bridge going from San Francisco back to Oakland, and we're at my cousin's wedding, and the odds are she's not going to get married again, and we're not going to get my nephew in this suit again, and we're not going to be standing there in San Francisco again with this beautiful evening sky. So we got to fix this picture. It's our only chance. So what are we going to do? Well, what I'm going to do is go back and duplicate this picture because I like to have something to compare to later. So let's duplicate it, and I'm going to work on this one. Let's fix this, then we'll compare it to the original. So when we double click the photo, we have a chance to see it larger, and I'm going to click the edit button down here. And there are some quick fixes. Let's look at these 3 sections here. Quick fixes. Sometimes you can click enhance, and by a miracle it fixes everything. It just is not enough. So I'm going to undo that. And sometimes you can come to the effects and you can do things like try to lighten it. I can click lighten over and over and over and over and over. But the problem is, you see, it's ruining the sky. My nephew gets more visible, but the sky just went nuts. So we've got to revert that. We're going to do it ourselves. We go to adjust. So in adjust, there's a lot of scary stuff here, but it turns out it's actually not scary and it's easy to use. So we're going to grab this shadows one. Our problem is that the stuff that's in the shadows is too dark. We want to lighten that up without messing up the other stuff. So I'm going to click on shadows, and when you're learning, it's best to just pull the slider all the way to the right and see what it does. And you say, wow, that's great. Now that might be overdoing it, so we can back up a little, but you get the idea. And you can see with this all the way to the right here, there's a real person here. He's got a tie with stripes. And over here, here's Uncle Ernie's wife, Lorraine, who we didn't even know was there when the original picture was like this. Okay, so that's nice. So we've made it a lot lighter. That's a great start. Now another problem with this is the sky actually kind of washes out a little bit. And so in the same way that pulling shadows to the right fixes dark stuff, pulling highlights to the right fixes things that are too bright. So let's do this, and you can see, I'll go all the way to the right as I always do, and you can see, look at the sky. See, the sky's better here and worse there. So if I go too far, it's not so good and the bridge starts to mess up, so I'm going to pull it back a little bit. Okay. Now, something you need to know. This thing called levels is very important. What you really need to know is that wherever this little curve or graph ends, that's where this point ought to be. So grab it and pull it in like this. And we're the same with this, the left-hand side. Looks like the left-hand side we're okay. If you grab the center slider and you move it left, it's going to lighten the whole thing. So you can see I can go a little too far, but it's somewhere in there. A little lighter isn't bad. And we could expose a little more. Just a little more. You don't want to go too far because there go the clouds, right? So it's tricky. It's tricky. Now let's look at definition. Let's look at sharpness. If I take definition and I move it here, look at the bridge get really detailed. Pull it back, see it's fuzzy. So somewhere in here, the bridge is better when it looks like wires and not just a fuzzy mush. So I'll make that a little bit better like that. That sort of goes hand in hand with sharpness. So you see, I move both of these things, they make a difference. So we'll do that. Now finally, sometimes you have to get the tint right, and it's tricky. You have this temperature and tint, and I can take these sliders and try to do it by hand, but it is not an easy thing to do by hand. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this eyedropper. Click on the eyedropper and then follow the instructions, which say to pick a neutral gray or white point in the photo to remove the color cast. This can be tricky because I don't know what was supposed to be white in this picture, but I think over here, whatever this is, this was white. So I'm going to click on that. And when I click on it, it sort of sets a reference point for what the color shift should be. So that's supposed to be white, but it's not quite white, so I click on it. It's a little better. And now if I clicked somewhere where it wasn't white, like if I clicked on blue, you'll see it'll mess up everything. See, it's not right. So click on something that's supposed to be white, and they fix the picture. And you can see just the slightest little fix. They moved it over to 6 out of 100. So if you don't like it, if you think that it should have been something else, you can pull the sliders yourself and do more. Okay, so let's try to keep this here like this. All right, we're gonna pull. I'm gonna do a little more exposure here, just a little bit. That's tricky. I don't want to lose the. I don't want to lose the sky here. So let's look at what we had. How can we tell what we had? Well, the easy way to do it is to press the Shift key. When I press the Shift key, it shows me what this picture looked like when we started. And now you see what it looks like now. So quite a bit better. Maybe not a miracle, but pretty close. I'll pull levels back just a little bit more. Try to lighten up my nephew's face just a little. And I can sacrifice a little bit of sky for a better view of the nephew. So let's do that. Okay, so here's what it is, and here's what it was. And that's no Photoshop. That's just playing around with some levels, shadows most importantly, and a little definition. Okay, not too hard. Okay, and I don't know where I don't remember doing denoise, but what noise does is it kind of is the opposite of sharpening, because it blurs things. So sometimes when you make some of these changes, you get some issues, like maybe there's too many freckles here, and so what we do then is we use denoise to sort of smooth it out, you see. So what it's doing is blurring. So somewhere in there, see, because I made it wrong, so somewhere in here, something like this. Okay, so which would you rather? That one or that one? Okay, so we're done. So let's go back. Let's look at the pictures. We look at them side by side if you want. I'm going to hold down Shift, select them both, go to Edit. Not even close. Not even close. Obviously this one's better. Okay, well that's it. Tune in, I hope not too long from now, and I'll have another one for you.